Hello and welcome. My name is Graceman Ayilara, and this is the Seekers platform, a moment for today. And in this week's Seekers moment, we shall be examining a very dicey and sensitive topic, which is titled Incantation. Incantation is what we are going to be talking about today. And I just want you to invite your friends and loved ones to come and understand this particular topic today because it is a right step towards the right direction where we'll be talking about African spirituality today. A lot of people write me often and they ask me, okay, come, how do we go back to African spirituality, or how do I become spiritual without becoming religious? And I said in the days of old there was no word that we could use to qualify something called religion. In those days we just are spiritual without going through someone, without bowing to anybody, without looking for a savior. We just have simply just religious, just like that. But before we continue today's seekers moment, I want us to take a look at this video. It is talking about the effect of religion in a society, the effect of religion in a society. And there is one word I got out of this video the last time I played it. It is the fact that in a religious society, everyone in a poor society, in a poor countries of the world, everyone is religious. I will be right back after this short break. Just hang in there and please share this video as you invite your friends also. We have a lot to talk about today, and you'll be marveled at what you are capable of doing. I'll be right back.
There are 196 countries in the world. 25 of them are very rich, defined as having an average wealth per person of over $100,000 a year. They are. But far more countries are quite poor, and some, which we're considering here, are very, very poor. These are the 20 poorest countries in the world, where the per capita wealth is under $1,000 a year, or under $3 a day. Every country is now more or less on a path to growth, but the poor ones are growing very, very slowly. If Zimbabwe continues at its current growth rate, it will qualify as a rich country in 2,722 years. What we want to know in this film is why some countries prosper and others stagnate, so that we can understand what rich countries are doing right and get a better grip on the challenges and hurdles facing poor countries. There are basically three factors that determine whether a country will be rich or poor. The first is institutions. Institutions are beyond important. Broadly speaking, rich countries have good institutions and poor ones have very, very bad ones. The correlation between poverty and corruption is direct. The richest countries in the world are quite simply invariably also the least corrupt ones. And the most corrupt countries are also the poorest. When countries are corrupt, they can't collect enough taxes to get the good institutions they would need to escape the poverty trap. Half of the wealth of the world's poorest 20 countries goes into offshore accounts. Lost revenues in these countries totals between $10 and $20 billion a year. Meanwhile, without an adequate tax base, poor countries can't invest in police, education, health and transport. Now, a more generous way to look at corruption is that it's really a case of clan-based thinking. Say you're hiring someone. In the rich countries, you're meant to do so simply on merit, interviewing lots of candidates, then picking the best one, irrespective of any personal connection. But in poor countries, under the sway of clan-based thinking, that approach would itself be seen as corrupt. It's your duty to disregard the so-called best candidate from an anonymous bunch in order to pick someone from your own team, your uncle, your brother, your second cousin, the guys from the same tribe. As a result, poor countries don't allow themselves access to the intelligence and talent of the whole population. There's a second thing that keeps countries poor: culture. What goes on in people's minds, their outlooks and beliefs. A striking statistic pops up here in relation to religion. If there's one generalization you can make about religion and wealth, it's that the less people believe, the richer they stand a chance of being. 19 of the richest countries in the world have 70% or more of their populations saying that religion is not at all important to them. The exception here is, unsurprisingly, the United States, which manages to combine great religiosity with huge wealth. More on that in a second. And conversely, the poorest nations in the world are also extremely believing ones. Here's how many people think religion and the supernatural is deeply important in the following countries. In the world's poorest country, simply everyone is a believer. Why is belief quite so bad for wealth creation? Because in general, religiosity is connected up with the idea that the here and now can't be improved, so you should focus on the spiritual and look forward to a next world instead. It makes quite a bit of sense when you live here. In the rich world, on the other hand, people are generally great believers in their capacity to alter their destiny through effort and talent. Incidentally, to explain the anomaly of the United States, religion seems not to slow down economic growth here because it's a particular sort of religion, an overwhelmingly Protestant and exceptionally materialistic kind. The American God doesn't want you to think of building the New Jerusalem in the next world. He wants it here and now, in Kansas or Houston.
Welcome back. That is a very pathetic video that we just finished watching right now, talking about the comparison between a very highly religious country and those countries who are not so religious. And this is the reason why we felt it is part of our own duty in this dispensation and generation to open up the eyes of our people to what we call freedom. Now, today we talk about we talk about incantation. What do you understand by the word incantation? What is it you understand by the word incantation? Because so many times when a lot of people hear about the word incantation, they go agog, really scared. They just don't want to have anything to do about that. They just don't want to come around it. But incantation is not something so dangerous. The words you say, the meaning of it, how factual they are, and how well you want them to come to reality can simply be what incantation means. Although so many people feel it is some set of magical words that we have to chant to achieve a certain kind of result. I feel it is some kind of, it's a set of words that we have to talk about, chant at a certain time, at a certain moment, through some metaphysical power before we can say, okay, yeah. And they usually is only to voodooism or herbalism, or let me say, to the bad part of the world. They feel like incantation is something that only bad people, whenever you begin to speak incantation, then you're about to hurt someone. But it is not so. This is how you have been made to believe it. But that's not the way it is. And don't think of me as someone who is coming to sugarcoat something to you. I don't have time for that. I only have time to make you see a reason of in what you have been losing out for years. It is okay for you to go to church and you speak words you do not understand. You say you're speaking in tongue, but it is not okay for you to state the actual fact. And this is what I've come to understand about our lives. People who are lazy, too lazy to apply their mind and their heart to knowledge, first, to science, second, to facts, third, and to nature, fourth, are those who see incantation as something bad. Remember what I always tell you, say diabolism is not bad. It is when you do not have the same kind of power or access to metaphysical things like the rest of the people in your area, in your family, in the room that you are staying right now, that you see power as bad. If you also have the access to the power, you will say it is bad. So what should you do? Should you continue to condemn it, or you should ask them, okay, how are you doing what you were doing? Unfortunately, those who colonized you with the singular instrument of religion, the Abrahamic religion, the first set of things they did was to, first of all, take away your language, and secondly, demonize your religion. When they demonize your way of worship, your disposition towards nature, they conquered you. Is it okay for us to digress a little bit? So I could sit here and say, there is no God in the heaven, or there is no God in the sky. That the God you have been described for or to as the one who has the largest feet, largest hand, seated on a throne with sun in his eyes, is a hoax, or is a hoax, or fluke, or whatever they call it. And I will be right. Now, if I say that the universe where you stay and live in is the God you are looking for, you would wonder. Now, let's go to etymology. In Latin, there's a word called natura, a word called natura in Latin. Natura is spelled Natura, natura. But if you want to see where they got that word natura from, it is from a Kemet word, Egyptian word called netar, netar, Neter. Now, natura is the same word you call in English natural or nature. And the netar in Egypt is their own ideology of God. So, God to them in Egypt is not an individual or a being, it is an all encompassing entity that comprises of you, me, the animals, the trees, all of these things that we see around. Not really the creator of those things, but the encapsulation of all those things. They call it neta. The Latin call it natura, and you call it nature. So, what if the God you are looking for in Christianity and Islam is the very God you are hurting and you are killing? You release carbon in the air, you mess up the atmosphere. We have ozone layer depletion, we have climatic changes, and all of those things. Then you say God is at work and is killing you. So you go to the ocean and you try to push it backward. Where are you pushing water to? When it comes back to you in form of tsunami, hurricane, and all of those things, you say the act of God. Now, this is not the act of a human being or a metaphysical being. This is the act of nature. Nature is the God you are looking for. And because of that, your forefathers, those people, they were called Negroes. Those people were called niggers. Those people were called blacks. They understood what the concept of being nature means. And what they were doing then is not even to worship, it is to converse and communicate. They were able to build accurate, perfect, and awesome relationship with the nature around them. They were not worshiping the birds. They were using birds as an attribute of a thing. They were not worshiping the lions and all of those things. So when you see imagery and you think these people are idol worshippers, no, they are explaining to one another using the attribute of the component of nature, the attribute of the component of nature. It will do me a lot of good if you call your friends to come listen to this or you share with them later. And what you saw, and you think, okay, these people are idol worshippers, they are making a graven image for themselves. I am not talking about the diluted and the condescended ancestors who practically just carve woods, give it mouth, and all of those things, and bow to it. I'm talking about the ancient folks who understood the way of nature. What they were doing is to have a perfect communication with all of these things. How did they do that? By first knowing that they are not the only living creature on earth, that everything is vibrating, that everything in nature vibrates, that the leaf vibrate, that the water vibrate, that the trees vibrate, that even the air is as a result of vibration. They understood that whatever vibrates is communicating. You should check the law of vibration. It is after the law of vibration we get to the law of attraction. But people jump the law of vibration to go to the law of attraction. Nothing is at the state of rest. Nothing on this planet Earth is at the state of rest. Even the universe is not at rest. All the planets are not at rest. The sun, the moon, the Jupiter, the Mars, the Venus, everything, nothing is at the state of rest. And no matter how you want to look at it, whatever vibrates is communicating. Your ancestors knew this, they understood this. And so what they did was not to demonize them or zone them as non-living thing. Now, it is not enough that they are not calling them non-living thing. They do not think of them as non-living thing, because as a man think, so it is. If you think a tree is non-living thing, you cannot get the dividends of it. If you think the air is non-living thing, it works against you. If you think water is a non-living thing, it begins to work against you. Non-living things are things that are dead, but there is nothing on this planet Earth that is dead. It depends on your perspective and your understanding of other co-habitants of this world of yours, even the sand. And so what does your ancestor do? They communicate with all these things. The process of the communication is what we call incantation these days. Because there's a way I will talk to you as human being. We have human language. There are animal languages. There are tree language. There's air language. There's water language. But look at us now. Even the human language alone, we have not really understood it. We still have misconception, misinterpretation, and all of those taken out of context, even in human language. Even in human language. Not to mention us exploring the animal language. And there are mediums of doing these things. Now, if you communicate with the animals, it is not because you are a witch or wizard or you are extraordinary. It is because you have come in term with nature. You have become one with the very God you are looking for. And so you can command the wind, you can command the rain, you can command the lightning. Your ancestors did that. There's a man they call Shango here, and they call him Thor in Greek mythology, and several other people gave it their own name. They worship him as the god of thunder, not the way you see it. Now look at me. When we say God of, we do not mean the one who created. We mean the one who mastered it. One who mastered it. What have you mastered in nature? So when you want to talk about space, you attribute it to one person. When you talk about electricity bulb, you attribute it to something. You attribute Albert Einstein to something, Thomas Edison to something, this and that to something. The way they attributed thunder to Shango. Now, I'm breaking it down for a purpose. We can go complex, but I wouldn't. I want us to take it gradually. Now, we saw a man who was able to master the thunder, whom at the mention of his name or at the invocation of thunder, there is no, even in the night, in the day, in the dry season, thunder listen to him. We begin to now demonize it. We do not want to ask, how did he master that particular aspect of nature? And because of the lackadaisical attitude and the laziness mentality of most people in the world of his own, they just felt this is a little bit of mystery. We should just attribute it to him. So when we want to get out, when we want to reach out to that particular thunder, we will call his name. No, it was not meant to be. You are not meant to be calling Shango before you invoke thunder. You are meant to learn what Shango knew to be able to invoke thunder. Do you get the understanding? We are going somewhere. We are becoming gods because we are gods. So you want to reproduce electricity bulb. You do not call Thomas Edison. Do you call Thomas Edison? No, you don't. You learn what Thomas Edison knew to be able to reproduce what Thomas Edison did. When you want to go into physics and make it happen, you don't call Albert Einstein. You go to look for what he did, know how he did it to be able to reciprocate it. And that is what is lacking in our continent as Africa. Documentation is lacking. Documentation. The little and the few we documented in Kemet, they even bastardize it. And so mankind knew how to communicate with nature around it. And the process of switching from human language to nature language is what we call natural. Is what we call incantation. Because the moment you switch from human language to nature language, you provoke something. Remember that without words, there is no creation. So, in other words, we can call incantation as creative word. Creative word that was used to create something. And you are a creator also. You yourself are a creator. You are a creator. The fact that the knowledge is hidden from you or you did not apply your art to that knowledge does not mean the knowledge is not there and you cannot do what your forefathers and your ancestors did. Okay? So uh, you don't begin to put so much credit on a human being like yourself that you get lost in the process. And so I was making my researches and study about the the original language of the West African world, the ancient Africans in West Africa. And I come to discover something spectacular. Unfortunately, this is one of the secrets I may be going to the grave with me because our people are not ready. But I'll give you an hint. You have a mother, a good mother, or a father, a good one. Something is happening to you. You are living miles away from her or him. And at the point that something is happening to you, they call you and ask you, are you sure you are okay? I have a mother. I still have a living mother. It happens always. Just when you are down, when you are in trouble, when something, while you're trying to say, I don't want to stretch them, they are their old age, or we don't want, I want to be independent and all that. Somehow they just call you and ask, are you sure everything is okay, son? What is the matter? Have you taken time to look, to really check what is happening between? Now, that is communication at its divine level. Communication at its divine level. It so happened that the ancient West Africans here, I don't know about the rest of the Africans, no. They will sit around a fire in the night. They will speak no words, make no sound, and yet they will hear each other clearly without misconception. Before the invention of sound, before mankind began to open mouth to make sound, that they would be together in the home. They were not deaf, they were not dumb, they are just simply spiritual. They are too spiritual to condescend their mode of expression to words, to spoken words. Are you getting me? Are you following? They were too divine in their nature to condescend their spirituality or divinity to speaking words that you hear right now. So they just look at each other in the face and the message get clear. No misconception. They don't get anything wrongly. They stay far away from each other. They think about each other. They send messages with thought. They vibrate their intention out in the atmosphere and the air, take it to the person that is meant for, and it never misses. If we do that in our days, what would they call us? Witches. But it's still existing. Who will teach us that? Who will take us back? How are we going to train our children in their life? And then it came the era of introduction of sound. Even when they introduced sound, before they introduced words, a single sound may mean million things and they don't have misconception. A single sound will mean millions of things and yet there will be no misconception. I'm taking it gradually so yeah, you can get it. So it's a matter of somebody say, the same could mean give me water. The same could mean give me food. The same could mean I'm going out. They understand because they are the prime of their spiritual state. Call them primitive, call them cave people, call them anything you like, but they were super perfect. And it was that era that worshiping or fellowshipping came. It was that era that the mode of clubbing came. And so you see two, three men gather together, making a single sound, and there is changes in the atmosphere. Are you with me? They are making one single sound, just saying, and there are changes in the atmosphere. It depends on what they want. So they came and say, whatever two of you agree to do, nature will not deny you. Can I say it again? Kemet says, whatever two of you decided or agreed to do, nature will not deny you. But when they want to copy it and do the plagiarism in Christianity, they say, where two or three are gathered together, or whatever you agree on earth shall be bound in heaven. Remember that in Kemet, nature is God. So whatever two of you agree, nature will not deny you. So we see those you call primitive, those who call Africans, those who call cavemen, those people that were the origination of mankind will gather together, make a single sound, do a certain movement, and the nature will begin to answer them. What do they want? It depends on what they have agreed on. And for easy establishment of the reason why we gather together, they began to use signs, symbols to communicate so as to eradicate distortion. And all of those things is what we call meditation. So they want to move from one place to another place. They know we are talking about flight. So what they do is to look at what is flying easily, what is moving easily. They saw the bird. So they draw the bird on the floor and they gather together. They know it is about transportation. We want to move from here to another place. And they make the sound without a word to a reasonable amount of time, and the air, the wind, carry them to where they want. There was no Jesus that time. There was no God that time. There was no understanding of a dimension of whose name and all that. No, they just understand because they do not think of themselves as highly or more than other component of nature. Remember, natura is what they know as God, nature. Okay, if we use animals, if we use the element of the world to represent the things we mean in our heart, it goes a long way and all of those things. And they started carving stone. They started carving stones and carving the wall to pass across their message, knowing that there's going to be a time and a year when in our genetic memory, we will not be able to understand what to be divine. We will not know what it takes to be divine, what it takes to be absolutely God. And they began to store up those things like documentation. So you see them draw a bird, draw animal, draw this, draw that. You say this is paganism. You say this is paganism or idolatry. Oh, the concept of idolatry did not come to mind. And they conceive the idea that, okay, we talk to the trees, it answers us. So when you go to the trees and you speak to the trees for things you need, maybe you need healing, it is possible for a European or someone who do not know your way or understand your way to say you are worshiping the trees or you go to water. Now you are not seeing all these elements of natura as non-living thing. You are communicating with other inhabitants of this world. You are communicating with other inhabitants of the world you are living in. Except you don't understand what is going on. And then as time goes on, people began to say, okay, what else can we do? The introduction of language started coming. And the moment language came in, misconception started. So I'm going to talk to you and say, can you give me that? And you're going to be saying, the tone of which you spoke to me, I don't like it. Or why don't you say it this way? Or this is, you can say please, and somebody will read meaning to it. And then we started scattering each other. That is where the what they call amulumala started. Disparity, disconnection started. But are we saying there is no retention of this power? In my tribe, as a Yoruba person, I said the other time, I have people in my own circle of influence who can stop the rain from falling. Now, this is not about God. They are not praying to God. I have people in my own tribe who can use water against or for someone. The power exists. How do you evoke or make what you call living thing to begin to behave like a living thing? That is where incantation comes in, creative word. You drink water, I drink water. But someone is using water against someone. What happens to the water that is so gentle and neutral? Someone apply what we call creative words to it. So they said he was just standing. A breeze blew and he fell and he had stroke. You never bother to ask. What happened to we are all breathing in the air. It's blowing all of us. Why did it work negatively against this other person? And it didn't work negatively against me. Someone has applied something extra, a little bit extra, which is called creative word. That creative word can change anything. Remember the way I started, that your ancestors will gather together. make no sound or sound, and the atmosphere will change. And so the Europeans came. Remember, I was showing you a certain map the other day. If you will give me a moment, I will look for that map. If you give me a moment, I'll look for the map and I'll show you. I'll show you the original map of the world, so as for you to know that what they call Middle East now was part of Africa. For instance, let's take this one. We're coming up. Let's take this one. I'm going to be sharing this screen with you. So hold on a little. I know the network is trying a lot today. Just go ahead and share. Go ahead and share with your friends. Now we have a map here. And you go to Google and you type in Pange, Pange, Pange. Yeah, this is Pange. You go to Google, you type in Pange, you will see this map. Let's make it here. You see this map. Now, look from here, all the way from here to here. These are all Africa. Do you see any demarcation around them? Is there any demarcation around them? Here, what they call Africa. Please, people, I need response. Is there any demarcation? This thing they term as Africa, is there any demarcation around it? Up until these small islands, all of these are Africa. In this place is where you have Israel today, Mecca today, Syria today, Pakistan, Palestine today. But they were all Africa. And it so happened that Black people were filling up all of these places. All of these places. Black people were all there. So the white men that are in Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, Israel, Syria, Mecca today, the white-skinned people there, how did they get there? How did they get there? You see what we're talking about? You see the cheating here? This is the original map, the Pange, before they gave us another one, before all this one started coming. You can see the way they reduce the map of Africa. They have chunked everything away. They have chunked everything away. So they now put a visual demarcation between Africa and where they gave to Israel, Syria, Saudi Arabia people. You can see the way you see manipulation. You see how we went from that fat land Africa to this tiny after they have chunked everything away. I think you are seeing it. After they have chunked everything away, you see how Africa now became so lean. However, no matter how hard they try, we still keep producing resources beyond human understanding. Now, in this land, people understand nature in its highest level. It's so painful that when it is clouting and chasing of irrelevant stuff, there will be much people in those platforms. But here, where they will be set free once and for all, you won't see them around. There are more things I still want to show you. When the slave trade started and they began to come to Africa to come take our men, our women away, the power was still in existence. The power was still in existence. The power that was in existence, remember I told you the power of spoken word, that power of creative words, where mankind will say a word, it will, the chemists say, speak, and it will be established. So in their Bible, they said, you shall decree a thing and it shall come to pass. But the chemist says, speak, and it shall be. What are you speaking to? Not God, not Jesus, not Muhammad, not Allah. You are speaking to nature. You are speaking to nature. One day I'll tell you why when you call the name of Jesus, it's still working. I will tell you why. I will tell you why. We know we will die. We might be forgotten. But as long as you give power to that name, it will keep working for you. It is not the name that is working. You are the one working it out. You are the one working it out. So when they extracted our men and women out of Africa here, they saw something which they invented later to say, okay, we are trying to stop them from eating the sugar canes in the plantation. They realized that when these Africans are working in the farmland, in the plantation, they have a way of making some sound. The Europeans do not understand the sound. They don't know what they're saying, but they know the nature changes. Now, these are men who are capable of carrying a very weighty stuff. Now, what they are inventing tractors to carry for them, what they are inventing, what do they call this thing? That they used to carry big stuff. Now, our people, even though they are not like giants, they have the creative word to enhance them to be able to do most of these things. They have super gene, they have awesome structure, they also have the spirituality behind it. And so they say these people will be good for slavery. And why do you think they put them in plantation? Because they put a slave in plantation, an African slave in plantation today, and by tomorrow, he has cultivated almost 5 acres of land. Yeah, pulley system. Thank you very much, brother. Pulley, that pulley. Now, our folks who, do you know the structure that has been made in Africa before these people came? How did we build the pyramid? Several other inventions in Africa, without those tractors, without modern technology that Africa built, what do you think was happening? We understand technology, we understand science, we also understand spirituality. So Yoruba people will call them Awan Jonu. The white folks will call them the angels. There was a cordial relationship. Now, these angels are not being, these are natural phenomena that Africans are able to curtail, to tame to their own benefit. So you put an African slave in 5 acres of land, before tomorrow he has planted everything. They begin to wonder, how did these people do this thing? So sometimes when these African slaves are angry, what they did is to, some words, and the white folks start falling down dead. What's happening? So they came to reality that it is when they know, when they have the opportunity to speak, that the power will come to reality. The power of the words, they understood that. They understood the power of the word. And they came with this particular technology. I'm going to show you now. Hold on. You see that? What did they told? What were you taught that was the reason behind this? This singular way, this mouthpiece, what do they tell you that was the reason? They told you that these people are eating the cane. How many sugar cane can one slave eat that will make you to close up their mouth like this. These are your ancestors. Gargle them like us. Gargle them like animals. Gargle them like dogs. How much can a human being eat of a sugar cane that will make you? It is not sugar cane. It is not sugar cane. Now, your ancestors understand the word incantation. So when things get too much, they react. They call onto nature, nature begin to react. And they feel, okay, when you know how to talk, that's when this will happen. So I'm now going to be showing you this now. Let's now go and show you this. I wish I can enlarge it. Now you have this now. I believe you are watching it there. You have this. Let's give you full screen here. Let's scroll down a little bit. This is the same gargle they use, both for their neck, making sound difficult for them from the vocal cord through their mouth. Now let's read this. It said, a front and profile view of an African's head with the mouthpiece and necklace, the hook round which are placed to prevent an escape when pursued in the woods and to hinder them from laying down the head to procure rest. At A is a flat iron which goes into the mouth and so effectually keeps down the tongue. Can you see the gory stuff? It keeps the tongue down that nothing can be swallowed. Now they say swallow, but so that they cannot utter a word, not even the saliva, a passage for which is made through holes in the mouth blade. Talking about this. You see the way they treated your ancestors? Making life so extra difficult for them. And so they rewrote the narration so they can be a little bit humane by telling you the reason why we put stuff on their neck is so they don't run away or they don't rest. I'm so glad I'm not showing my face right now because I feel like crying. And this mouth was spectacularly gummed down intentionally. So your ancestors do not do this, do the incantation, because they know when you have the mouth to talk, powers come out of their mouth. And so they pin down their tongue in such a way that they cannot even swallow their own saliva. There is no way you'll be able to talk without swallowing saliva. You need to swallow saliva and move around your tongue before you can do something. Remember that at this point, there has been a dilution from not speaking words to speaking words. But they were just making sound there. That's how bad things are. But your forefathers knew about incantation and they use it to the best of their own knowledge to benefit themselves. That's the reason why you pluck a leaf and use it. And another person will pluck it and it won't work. It will work for them. It won't work for you. It will work for those people. It will not work for you because the creative word behind how to activate the living spirit behind that nature, you do not understand it. Will I sit here and teach you how to do incantation? No. But I say to you that simply stating the fact to nature is enough incantation for you. Bàbá dá mi sórí abẹ́sẹ̀ wá, gbogbo èrè nílé ayé kó máa bá mi wá. That means when we pour water on the head, it flows to the feet. Every goodness in the world, let it flow towards me. That to you looks like incantation, but I'm stating the fact. Why? I cannot know how water works and the movement, the gravity of water, if I do not understand science, if I do not apply my mind to meditation. Are you with me? So your forefathers understand gravity. Afẹ́fẹ́ ìfẹ́ kó má kàn oko lára. They understood that the air, whenever it blows, even the trees of the jungles feel it. Ojúmọ́ èé jọ kóòrùn má ràn. Èmi lágbájá ọmọ lágbájá mo rí tèmi ṣe lónìí. There is no day that break without the sun up there in the sky. It is factual. Now what you are doing is you are communicating with nature. Remember, I told you that the Latin word for nature is natura. In Kemet, it is nectar. And that is all they know as God. That is all they know as God. Nature around them, the universe around them, is what they understood as God. So if this is what you understood as God, this is what you speak to. Which means that the first way, the first movement of a fish in the deep of the sea is the head. What do you want? You add it to it. Reject evil. So when we say this, you say, okay, these people are practicing voodoo, but this is spoken word that is creating effect in the universe. And when people come to me, I tell them, now I'm going to show you the benefit of nature, but I would like you to ask nature what you want from it. It's not left to you. Create your own incantation. That is the flexibility of the thing. The reason why in Africa today we have the priests who are making so much billions from people is because our people do not even want to do anything for themselves. I was talking about the spiritual usage of sugar cane the other day. 2 people reach out. No, 5 people reach out to me. So I said, I'm going to give this secret to 2 people. So these 2 people, I told them, go and get sugar cane. I gave them the size. I told them how to prepare it. I said, when you are done, let me know. There are some things I will tell you to further this thing. I'm telling you, for the past 3 weeks, they have not gotten back to me. But if I told them that bring money, maybe 50,000, I have it already made, I'll give it to you. Even if it is fake, they will pay that money. But I said, come, it is about time we begin to let Africans do what we call DIY, do it yourself, so that you can transfer it to your children too. So either you are Igbo, you are Hausa, you are this thing. As long as you are African, this power can work for you, and it is science. So our people are filled up with this mentality of give me Goya oil, give me mantle, give me this, give me that. So they tell you to read Psalm. But we're saying there's a better way, a more surest way. Wake up so time, and do this particular thing. Not because the witches are flying or prayer get answered more at that time, but because they have studied that there are some strange elements of the universe that move around in those times. And there is this high level of concentration that makes this thing work for you. Because one of the greatest enemy of mankind after fear is distraction. 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 So in application, compare what is happening to these people then, this gaggle over their mouth. Compare it to the modernized gaggle over your mouth now as an African. Can you stand in the middle of the road and say they have gaggled your mouth with this sense of guilt? and you begin to come out of Babalawo with me, let them not think I'm voodoo, but you are stating the fact. It is fact to say that abẹ́rẹ́ ìkan wọn aṣọ kankan ìkan wọn odò. You know frog? Frog is ọ̀pọ̀lọ́. Toad is kankan. In Yoruba, kankan is toad, or we call it kọ̀rìnkàn. Another way we can see kankan is sponge, but we are talking about toad. Toad and riverbank or river brook, they are like together. When they see each other, they flow. And we see abẹ́rẹ́ ìkan wọn aṣọ, which means a needle and fabrics, they go hand in hand. How can you make a very nice cloth without needle? They say aṣọ àlàyé kan wọn aró. A plain white textile, when you put it in the dye, you know dye, that chemical. It is the color of the dye you give to it that it will take. So you're about to move out of your house and say, that whatever words that comes out of my mouth becomes yea and amen. Have you cursed anybody? No. Have you hurt anybody? No. And you go out and you make things happen. But look at you right now, a gargle over your mouth against these creative words. So the wife you married, let her not know that so that she doesn't term you as Babalawo. The husband you marry, let him not know. Your neighbor, let them not hear that you know these things, because you have been gargled with Abrahamic religion. So if you are not doing abracadabra, platima, you should not even. It's such a pitiable pig in our world today. So incantation is creative word. Okay, how do we come about creative word? Creative word is simply just stating the fact of the natural. Stating the fact of the natural without lying. And may I add this to it before I move on and let you go tonight? There is no way incantation can work in your mouth if you are not a truthful person. Because the nature and the universe is more intelligent than you are. If you are used to lying, if your yes means no, if your no means yes, if you are always dribbling people, deceiving people, if you don't say what you mean and mean what you say, if your philosophy of life is not that I will point to my grave before I go back on my words, nature don't respect such people. But unfortunately, most of you now, you live a life of perpetual lies, but you want the nature to respect you. The day you really want to use the same tongue you have so much polluted for something good, it won't happen. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. If you want to be a bad person, be a professional bad person. Let everybody know you are bad, so the nature will also understand. Wọ́n ní bọ́ọ̀bà jọ́ṣàká kọ́ jọ́ṣàká, bọ́ọ̀bà jóṣoko kọ́ jóṣoko, ọ̀ṣàkà ṣoko irú ayé wo rèé? It is Kemetic word. So in the Bible they say neither cold nor warm. Is that not what they told you in the Bible? Say if you are neither cold or warm, I will spit you out. It's a Kemetic word. The Kemet spirituality enjoins us to be truthful at all times. Let your yes be yes, let your no be no. So that when you really need the power of creation or the creative word to come to your aid, nature understands that this is not a deceitful person. He or she meant what you're saying. So it comes to your aid. Nature, natural come to your aid. I wish I can go on and on about this issue of incantation so that you understand what has been taken away from you. That you do not need a pastor to lay hands on you. That you don't need financial breakthrough or breaking the limit. You don't need to go to Shiloh. You don't need to go to camp. You don't need to go to anywhere. That you do not need deliverance. The only deliverance you need is to take this gaggle out of your mouth. This intimidation that is planted in our society. So people do not say, I'm a bad person. So people do not say, I'm a bad person. Unfortunately, there are some words we cannot say on air like this. That should be close. So you do not begin to now spoil our name. I've not been to church since 2017. And I've not prayed in the name of Jesus since then. And daily I say, if there is one God that God that was described in the Bible, if he's in heaven, he should kill me and I'm still alive. You know how many of the people that goes to Shiloh and all of those things say, I will not see 2020. Some of them are dead already during Corona. I'm still alive. Why? I use common sense and I mind myself. So one thing is that the day you take your life from Jesus, everything begins to fall in line for you. The day you leave Abrahamic religion, you will sleep well. So rest in peace for you will not mean that you are dead. The rest in peace will mean that when you go to bed at night, you have good sleep. And even if you have nightmares, at the waking up, the moment you put your feet on the ground, the meaning of it comes to you. And what you call prayer becomes incantation, because now you are not begging. How do you even beg something you have not seen for the things you want? Now you command. You command. So prayer is out of the way for you. Decree becomes your way of life. And in decreeing, incantation is not far-fetched. Incantation is not far-fetched. Àwọn bàbá mọ́nímọ́ní, àwọn bàbá mọ̀nyàmọ̀nyà, tí wọ́n mú àyíníke àtàyínípadà. Unfortunately, they are in the village, not all these ones. Just the way they bastardize your mind and say, do not go back to Egypt, when they knew that in Egypt is where your freedom is. That's the way they begin to intentionally create this cathedral and all that in the city and told you that your village people are the ones against you. And if care is not taken, what we suffer, our children will be totally lost. They will be so blank when it comes to history, heritage, and the power they carry. And the power they carry themselves. Let's read some comment as we close up. Emmanuel Sunday Chidioke is saying that, brother, now I understand what happens around us. The reason why airplanes float in the air, ships float on water, is because of what nature has created around us. Once you discover it, you can invent it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. Olupiton is saying hi, great man. Thank you. Hi, how are you doing? Yawale is saying the whole of Europe, Asia, Arabia, and Africa were built on the wisdom of the Yorubas. Most African once called in the past the Atlanteans. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to be doing a. I'm going to be doing. It's a pity. I'm going to be doing a teaching on Constantinople and Constantine. Constantinople and Constantine. What you were taught in theology school, and the real story, the real thing that happened. And you will know. You will want to hate these people. You will want to hate them, but don't hate them. Hate is too much energy. You can distance yourself from them. You can distance yourself from them. Yawale is also saying that the devils of Christianity are using African spirituality in their churches. Same with the Muslims. Confession of faith is all about incantations attributed to the fake Jesus who never existed. Thank you very much. I agree solely with this. 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 Someone here, Chisholm is saying you have deep understanding. Thank you very much. They apply their mind to wisdom and simply walk with the wise. Kemet said, those who walk with the wise shall rule the world. The companion of fools shall become slaves. That's what Kemet says. Those who walk with the wise, those who dine, those who commune with the wise shall rule the world. The companions of fools shall be slaves. Shall be slaves. Shall be slaves. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us today. Please go ahead, press the share button, let people know that we came, we saw, and we are divulging the secret in their hand. And if you have any support for the platform, let's make it go viral. We welcome it in all sphere and in all space. Today, we have simply spoken about incantation. Incantation. Let nobody turn your back against your powerhouse and your heritage. There's nothing bad about it. Know the fact you are stating and put it to work. At the end of the day, when you are at your deathbed, you realize one thing. If you walk this journey with me, you realize one thing, that everything called religion today is just all built on the foundation of sun and moon. Everything, sun and moon. Everything, sun and moon. Everything, sun and moon. Everything. Thank you very much for joining me today. And take care of yourself and don't be a slave of man. You are the best in the world. You are the light of the world. You are the salt of life. And you are the very word that can create things. Nature is your friend. Nature is not dead. Trees are not non-living things. Plants are living things. Waters are living things. Animals have their language. They understand you. They have intelligence. Only you need to condescend yourself and be humble to understand their ways. Thank you very much and bye for now.